worse than we are, so nothing to complain about here. But I've just been sitting at home, just taking care of stuff, working. As you can see right now, I'm here in my garage, just kind of wrapping things up for a day. But I want to share three things actually that I've been carrying today. The first one is a tried and true paramilitary 2. This is in their crew wear and their brown micarta. This is by far my favorite iteration of the paramilitary 2. Spyderco knows how to heat treat their steels. I don't know what they do, but they just seem to get it right every single time. The next one I'm carrying is actually something that is a little bit not in my wheelhouse, but this is SC Zula 1. I typically don't carry a fixed blade as an EDC, but when I go camping, hiking, I will carry my SC 3. But yeah, this is a really great option if you're looking for like a small fixed blade EDC. They're truly like a lifetime, no questions asked warranty. They'll just take care of you till you are laid in your grave. You know what I'm saying? But I've had this knife for 7-8 years now, and it has served me very well, and it still continues to serve me well. I am carrying it in this their standard Kydex sheath. And their belt clip, I just attached it horizontal carry on my left side so I could draw it with my right hand. And then lastly, actually what this video is about is this guy. This is a Koenig Arius. I've actually had this knife for about a little over a year now, and I know there's a lot of reviews out there. People love this knife, so I figure I'd give my little 2 cents on this guy. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and turn this camera around and let's just get right into it. All right, so here is my setup for today. Sometimes you just gotta make do with what you can, you know what I mean? So anyways, this is the Koenig Arius. I'm sure you guys are already all familiar with this knife. It's been around for a little while now, but the company itself, Koenig Knives, I believe they've been around since 2013, I believe. And since then, they've really made a name for themselves, with, of course, the Arius, the Mini Goblin, and now the Mini Arius should be coming out in the next few months. So everyone's really looking forward to that. But, I've had this knife, like I said, for a little over a year now, and I actually traded my Shirogorov, I believe it was a Shirogorov FNL 95 or something like that. And honestly, that Shirogorov was worth more than the Arius, but I wanted one so badly at the time that I just went ahead and went for a trade. And honestly, I'm really glad that I did, because this kind of fits a little bit more in my wheelhouse than that Shirogorov did. So anyways, so now that I've carried and used this for about a year, I've definitely have a lot of things I love about it, and maybe 1 or 2 things that doesn't really jive with me. So let's just get right into it. Just a I don't know if I should do, I guess I'll do size comparisons. Yeah, let me just pull out the Spyderco Paramilitary 2 that we are all very familiar with. It's a little bit larger than the Paramilitary 2. And then I have here the large Sebenza 31. And that is actually pretty comparable in terms of the length. Let me see here. I got a Protec Malibu. Let me pull that out here. It definitely dwarfs. It is bigger than the Malibu for sure. And then let me see. I got let's do this guy. This is the Hinder Eclipse. It's comparable lengthwise, and then let's just do one more. Let's just do this for giggles, the SC Zula 1. So there you go. You kind of get an idea of the dimensions of the Koenig Arius. It is a rather on the larger side. So if you're the kind of person that doesn't like to carry like big knives, then this may not be the knife for you. But let's go right into it. What I love about this knife, first of all, it looks so elegant, very monochromatic, very sleek looking. I could like kind of liken it to like a Lamborghini versus like maybe something like a Spyderco Paramilitary 2 might be like a Forerunner. You know what I'm saying? They both do their jobs very well, and this is no slouch when it comes to the way it looks. It looks, to me, it looks really beautiful. Just they use a lot of these large kind of curves and swoops, you know, and to me it makes sense considering our hands are very you know, they're very like, there's a lot of what do you call it, shape to our hands, right? And so having these swoops and these curves in all the right places, it you know, it really makes this knife feel just extremely comfortable in the hand. And you know, if you know anything about me, I do love this large choil. I'm a big fan of a single or double finger choils. I love what Koenig knives have done. They just made this one large choil to accommodate your two fingers, and so really locks it in. You know, I have about medium sized hands, pretty average sized hands, so it's perfect for me. I get all four fingers. I have a little bit of real estate left, you know, left over. So this is just an extremely comfortable knife to hold. You know, all the edges are, you know, chamfered. There's really no harsh edges except for one part, which I will get to. Even the flipper tab, I feel like it's just, you know, this is the tab that I prefer, you know, where you just kind of push button it. Or is it push button, or I don't know, or light switch, whatever, you know. But it's very comfortable. And then the landing zone, there's no jimping, so it's just you're not gonna get your precious pointer finger all jacked up on aggressive jimping or whatnot. But yeah, this is just incredibly comfortable knife to hold, and it looks really beautiful to boot. I don't say that a lot to knives, you know, like I don't say a knife looks beautiful unless it's like the Koenig Arius. So yeah, that's that. The next thing is just this blade. I mean, from what I recall, Koenig, I forgot the gentleman's first name. He learned from Chris Reeve, I think. I know they are both located in Idaho, so maybe I'm just assuming, but if there's anything that kind of convinces me, it's just this beautiful large hollow grind. This is like Chris Reeve level execution right here. Just absolutely nailed it. Especially when you have a blade this broad and then you have this, you know, relatively thick blade stock. I feel like they, you know, really took advantage of this large hollow grind, because this thing slices like, whoo, like nobody's business, man. I gotta say, it slices like almost on par with the Paramilitary 2, and this thing has a full flat grind, thinner, I think a thinner blade stock and thinner behind the edge. But I gotta tell you, man, this thing, it punches way above its weight in the cutting department, because yeah, I've had no issues. I've had no, what do you call it, like hang-ups. You know, sometimes what happens is that when you have a thick blade stock, you know, thicker, denser material could start getting hung up on the edge. I have had no issues like that whatsoever with this guy. So I absolutely, and you guys know I'm a big fan of hollow grind. To me, that's my favorite grind style, just because it kind of preserves, you know, your thick blade stock. It really kind of keeps the tip relatively robust, and then it goes down to a really thin cutting edge, and so it's like the best of both worlds. You know what I mean? So I feel like Koenig has really nailed it in terms of that blade. Just, it's stunning. I mean, the cutting performance is just, oh, it's just phenomenal. And then of course, you can't do a review on this guy without talking about the action. Drop shut action, guys. I mean, it could be because the blade is relatively heavy, I would assume, because it is a large broad blade, but it's just, there's no resistance whatsoever. I don't have to shimmy it. I don't have to wrist shake it. I don't have to coax it back to its home. It just wants to go back into its nest, and that's about it, But what I do want to point out is this is the most perfect detent I have ever experienced, and I've handled hundreds of knives at this point, and I gotta say the detent on this guy is just so dialed in. And you know what's so crazy, guys, is that it's not just dialed in for that flipper tab, but it's also dialed in to do that spidey flick with that hole right there. And so, typically what happens is that when you have multiple opening methods, the detent will favor one of those methods, either the flipper tab or the thumb stud or the hole opening method, right? But with this guy, I mean, it's perfect in every opening method, guys. It's such a pleasure to open with that flipper tab, but it's equally as awesome in using that blade hole, to do that spidey flick, or to just kind of slow roll it. Ooh, man, the action on this guy, phenomenal. I honestly liked it more than the Shiro Gorov that I had. And Shiro Gorov is legendary with their action. This guy, I feel like it punches a little bit above that, even that. So, yeah, kudos. I mean, dude, they've been around for only what, like 2013, and so, I mean, they haven't been on the scene that long, but in the time that they've been on the scene, they did some wizardry, I think that's why people really like Koenig knives, just because the action on these guys it's just next level. I don't know what else to say. I mean, I've handled legendary flipping knives like the Holt haptic, even, and honestly, I like the action on this guy even more than the Holt haptic. And if you're in like an echoey room, that the acoustics on this guy is just, woo, it is fire. Next thing I want to talk about is the maintenance. So if you're the kind of person that loves to take their knives apart, this knife is super easy to take apart. You got the two body screws, I believe they're T8s, and then you got this captured, I want to emphasize captured pivot screw, which I love when companies do that, because sometimes, you got a free spinning pivot. Oh, it's a pain in the butt, you know what I mean? But look how they executed that captured pivot screw. They literally slotted this. I mean, they cut off one side of that pivot screw so that it doesn't move, but it really works with the overall design aesthetic of the knife, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, super easy to take apart. I believe that's also a T8. I've taken it apart once to clean out, and it was super easy to put back together. So if you're that kind of person that loves to tinker with their knives, it's practically as easy as like this guy, like the Chris Revumnenzon, and this guy only has 2 screws to deal with. So that's all she wrote, man. Yeah, and then also another thing I gotta point out, guys, is this is a relatively large knife, right? You got, I believe, a 3.5-inch blade length. I forgot the handle on this guy, but it is, let me pull out the large Sabenza 31. It is very similar in length to the 31, okay? But it's bulkier, as you can see, right? It's a little bit more broad in the blade, in the handle. It's a little bit bulbous looking, right? And so it seems like a heavier knife. I believe this clocks in at 4.9 ounces, but it feels actually a lot lighter than that. And a big reason why is, if you can see in there, they've milled the junk out of the internals. It's like they literally milled out every possible space they can mill out. So, I mean, that's incredible. So, it is a very nimble knife in hand. It feels very nimble. In the pocket, it doesn't feel like a boat anchor. You know what I'm saying? So, I would even reckon if you're the type of person that loves to wear basketball shorts or like athletic shorts, this wouldn't bother you too much either. All right. Yeah, amazing. Just and the balance point on this guy, because sometimes what could happen is when companies like mill the junk out of the handle, it could start getting blade heavy. The weight, that's where that balance is right there. Look at that, guys. I don't know what kind of wizardry Koenig does to these knives, but it's just like literally almost perfectly balanced. Like, so it feels very just nimble in the hand. It doesn't feel blade heavy or handle heavy. It feels just perfectly balanced. So I've been just raving about this knife for the past like 14, 15 minutes. So is there anything, can Koenig knives do no wrong? I mean, no knife is perfect unless it is. But yeah, I definitely had to think really hard to find something, and I got to tell you, there is maybe one thing I don't prefer, and it's actually this part right here, the area where you disengage the lock. So here, if you can see, it's just a straight angle. It's like a 90-degree angle, and that edge right there is not chamfered. Maybe it is. No, yeah, maybe a tiny bit, but you could definitely feel that edge when you're disengaging the lock. And if you're like me, when you have a knife this good, we're gonna be opening and closing, opening and closing, opening and closing, right? And after a couple times of doing that, your thumb is gonna say, "Please, please, no more," right? Let me see. Let me see if I could find a knife where they really executed that area real nice. Oh yes, Liang Ma Model 18. See that? Check this out. Look at that. Look how they really chamfered that edge so that when your thumb comes to disengage lock, it's like, thank you so much. It's seriously like, it's a night and day difference, right? This is a very comfortable disengagement area. But with this guy, yeah, you're gonna feel that bite a little bit, but I know you're probably screaming at me right now, Daniel, stop being a wimp, man. This is the price you pay. And true, that is a price I'm willing to pay. And my thumb is willing to pay to have this amazing knife. So that's that. Like I said, what else? Is there any other little gripe? Not really, guys. Not really. Honestly, this knife is just such a phenomenal. It's a phenomenal knife, guys. Like, I don't know how else to put it. So I'm gonna kind of jump on the bandwagon with most of the folks in the knife community that rave about this knife, because I mean, Koenig really, really just showed up, man. They really showed up. He didn't cut any corners. It's just everything just feels very well thought out. Very, I feel like he had us knife enthusiasts in mind when, he made this knife. It's just really everything that we like about in a knife. I don't know why I'm tumbling over my words right now. So yeah, guys, I mean, I would love to hear your thoughts on it. If you have or had the Koenig Arius, what's your experience with it? Do you enjoy it? Do you hate it? Are you whatever's about it? Yeah, drop your comments down below. If you have any questions, drop them down as well. If you like this video, man, press that thumbs up button and subscribe. But with that being said, thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.